Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode 22 of the 3 0 podcast. My name is Mike Cicchetti, and I don't host, but we're doing it today. So I am joined with, hold on, Ben Pope, Brett Chavez, and obviously I am uh, Brett, Brett Shoves, and I am Mike Cicchetti, like I said. So today we have a plethora of topics to discuss with you guys. First, we're going to recap the conference championship games, both of them being on Sunday. No more Saturday games. So we start off at the 3 o'clock game. It was the San Francisco 49ers traveling to the Link in Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. And it started off to be a, pretty even matchup. Ben and Brett picked the 49ers. And just reading analysts and game picks, it was pretty split down the middle on who was going to win that game. Then Brock Purdy went out with an injury, and Josh Johnson also went out with an injury. There, Brock Purdy's back up, and it was just all downhill for the 49ers since. So, Brett, you start us off on what you thought of the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there wasn't really much to unfold as far as San Francisco's concerned. When you're down both your third string quarterback and your emergency fourth quarterback, it's pretty tough to win a conference championship and go to the Super Bowl. They made it competitive at first. It was a tie game. I think it was they were 14-14 or 7-7 at one point, but McCaffrey did score that opening touchdown for the 49ers. But since the offense couldn't really muster anything together after that opening drive, the defense was kind of just left out to dry. They consistently had to be on the field guarding Philadelphia. Couldn't really stop the run game. Philadelphia is using a lot of those weak side runs and kind of just exposing that whole right side of the field on San Francisco's defense. And Philly just kind of ran away with it. It wasn't really much of a competition, but who knows? If Brock Purdy did play, it could have been a completely different story.
Disagree.
Why?
I just think Philadelphia was too dominant on both sides of the ball. I definitely do think that San Francisco's offense would have been more fluid, obviously, because he's been the quarterback for the past handful of weeks. And I think they would have gotten another score or two, but I don't think anything would have changed the outcome of that game the way Philadelphia was playing. Ben?
That's fair. That's fair.
Well, unlike Brett, I am willing to give Mike his flowers because he called this one very much correctly last week. Philly was simply the better team, even with the injury to Brock Purdy. I think that while that did obviously affect how the game went for San Francisco, at least on the offensive side of things, um, even before Brock Purdy went out, you saw the forced fumble that they were able to get. This D line was absolutely dominant. I will say that the Niners defense looked just as well adjusted, if not as good as what Philly was able to do. But the pressure that Philly was able to put on the quarterback, whether it was Brock Purdy, Josh Johnson, or whoever, looked really good. It's unfortunate to see this happen to Brock Purdy because now I honestly think that it's more of a toss up now between who it's going to be for the starter for next year between him and Trey Lance. I think that debate was in a much different spot than it was just last week. So that's going to be interesting to see. And I'm really interested to see how the line develops for this Super Bowl and how Philly is favored in this one because I do believe they will be the team that's favored. But I am a little nervous for them just because they really haven't been tested in these two playoff games. They've completely wiped the floor with both of their opponents. They played good defenses, but they have yet to play an offense that is really put together at least more than a quarter of subsequent offense. So that'll be kind of something to keep note of, at least in my eyes. But Philly was well prepared in this game. They looked really good. And once again, didn't have to do very much on the offensive side of the ball. Their defense really carried this one to victory.
Yeah, and I have to give my credit to Coach Sirianni, because when he was hired 2 years ago, everyone thought he was going to be a one and done coach. Nobody thought he would last. I mean, they came into the was it the COVID year or was it last
It
season? It
was
might
the
have been
COVID
last
year.
season. With very, very low expectations. They overexceeded, made the playoffs, obviously. Got beat by the Bucks in the first round. And then made a lot of acquisitions and free agency signings this past off season. And it shows. It shows. They were the third team to put over 30 on the 49ers defense this season, the other two being Kansas City and somehow the Raiders. So after that one, we had the quite controversial game. I'm going to let this one, let Benny start this one off. We had the Cincinnati Bengals going into Kansas City, playing the Chiefs. It was a good game to begin with, and then it seemed like the refs took over, but I'm going to let Benny say his piece on this one.
Yeah, as the resident Bengals head, I apparently
This is true.
Mike wants to defer to me because he thinks I'm a big Bengals fan.
This is true.
Yeah, this one was tough because I do think that Cincinnati, in the end, was in a very strong position to win this football game. I do think that some of the calls that did come up in not only in the fourth quarter, but just throughout the game did favor in Kansas City's fashion. But I honestly cannot let Cincinnati off the hook. I think they beat themselves in this game. The amount of penalties that we saw from Cincinnati was worse than we've seen pretty much most of the season from them. The offense, it was very inconsistent. I would argue to say that Joe Burrow, while making probably the two or three most impressive throws in the game, namely the touchdown pass to T. Higgins and a couple that he made to Jamar Chase late in the game, he was outplayed by Mahomes. The two interceptions that he threw on drives where they were having good momentum on third and short and just trying to take deep shots that felt unnecessary. It seemed out of character. It ended up working out for them on a fourth and short, them taking a shot, and then ended up working. They ended up scoring on that drive. But just I didn't like what I saw from Joe Burrow in this game. I think that he was trying to take too many risks and trying to take steps that weren't really necessary against a Kansas City team that was not running the ball at all. They were kind of running through Mahomes, surprisingly enough, ironically enough, with his ankle injury. And Mahomes looked pretty good for the most part. We said that his protection was going to be a key part in this game, and they really served well. Very few pressures against Mahomes, whereas Joe Burrow was sacked nearly 4 or 5 times by the end of the first quarter, which is a stark difference to see. We saw that in the AFC title game last year, and Cincinnati was able to come out on top, but that was because Mahomes did kind of collapse in the second half. We didn't see that in this game, and I don't think we'll see a half like that from Mahomes for a while longer. That was probably the worst half of football that he's ever played in the postseason. So I think that expecting that from him this week or expecting anything less than what he's been doing all season would have been a bit of a dismay. When we talked about predictions last week, I was really scared of Mahomes, even despite the injury that's going on. And I honestly think I discredited him too much, even though I thought it was honestly a coin flip between these two teams. I think Cincinnati played very well on defense, but Kansas City ends up going to their third Super Bowl now in the Mahomes era, 5th AFC title game. This is really developing into something truly special.
Brett?
Yeah, I mean, I think this just got to a point where I just, like Ben said, I think Cincinnati just played out of character. I think the refs definitely played a factor into some of the play calls and decisions that eventually happened at the end of the game. Like, for example, that intentional grounding on Joe Burrow. I mean, call it what you want, but little ticky tacky from first glance. But at the end of the day, Ben did mention, I do agree. I do think they were taking a little bit more of a risky approach on offense. Burrow was taking a lot more deep shots than he usually does, and kind of just throwing it up in the air when he didn't have to, and taking those risks. There were a couple cheesy interceptions that Burrow threw in that second half that really didn't need to be started at all. He could have just threw it down the middle and gained 12 yards, but instead tried to throw a deep shot down the flat. Um, at the end of the day, I think Cincinnati did end up beating themselves, as Ben mentioned as well. I'm pretty much just on the same wavelength as Ben is right now. They beat themselves. They played out of character, and I think it got to a point where we just discredited the Chiefs a little too much. I think Mahomes played his heart out, especially for the way his ankle was injured, and people speculating how stiff he was going to be in the football. He maneuvered very well in the pocket, was able to make throws pretty accurately, except for I don't know, the exception of 2 or 3 weird ones. Excuse me. And that last play on the sideline where Osai was coming at him, that's a respectable play on Mahomes. You don't really expect him with a high ankle sprain to make that 13-yard run or 14-yard run and gain the first down. But when you've got a special quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, he's going to do whatever it takes to win you the game. So shout out to him. Shout out to the Chiefs. And yeah, I just think Cincinnati ended up just beating themselves.
All right. So we have the two number one seeds going head to head in the Super Bowl. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. Next week, we will be talking all about the Super Bowl and give our predictions, some bold predictions, and just covering that. And you'll get our game picks. We'll talk about that all next week. Switching gears now. Tom Brady. 8 o'clock this morning, I was in the I was using the latrine, and I get a notification from Twitter that Brady announced retirement. So obviously you can't be too sure, right, with him. I watched a video, good video. He said I'm retiring for good. I feel like there is a lot to say, but we talked about this when he announced his retirement last offseason, and we talked a whole bunch about it. Even he said you only get one chance to write a big essay about it, and he did that last year. So we just posted a short 1-minute video. If you guys have any takeaways or thoughts about this, speak now.
Yeah, he kind of said it himself. You wasted it all last year. If you're going to retire, just do it and move on. I think everybody expected it. We talked about it a little bit in our QB carousel episode in episode 21. If you haven't checked that out, be sure to do so. But yeah, I think it was his time, and I think he did it in the right way, especially considering the situation that he kind of put himself in that hole. He handled it in the right way.
Yeah, I mean, this came as a surprise to me, but the nature of how Tom handled it this year to the way that it was handled last year, which was kind of out of his control. This seems pretty much like the end. I don't think this is going to be the repeat like Michael Jordan style. But yeah, I think this was the right move. I know that Tom has his kids on the East Coast. He's got the deal lined up with Fox and everything. It seems like I think he understands the move that he made last offseason, kind of the repercussions for that. I honestly feel like he is kind of feeling the heat from what he had done. And while I don't think he will ever admit this, I think he honestly kind of regrets sidetracking what he did last year. And he's kind of making it up now. And that's all he can do. It's kind of in the past now. It'll be interesting to see if he does anything with New England, retiring as a Patriot. I know that's something that Robert Kraft threw around in his piece earlier today. But yeah, Mike, you kind of said it. don't really need to rehash too much into it, but yeah, it comes as a bit of a surprise. As we all were talking about him being the next San Francisco quarterback or coming back to Tampa just a couple days ago. So
Yeah. Yeah. So happy retirement, Tom Brady. Moving on to head coaching hires. We will go in order. Maybe not. We'll go out of order. Um,
in order, according to Adam Schefter or Ian Rappaport or
well,
one of
Tom
those
Pelissero
one of
or
those
Don
Moses.
Cleveland.
Okay, so that's not even Brett reference went over right his head, but
first head coaching hire was last Thursday. Frank Reich hired by the Carolina Panthers to be
forgot
their new
about
head
that.
coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was formerly the Colts head coach and was fired. What do we think about this hiring? Because I like this hire. Brett,
I
just speak.
love this hire. I think this is a match made in heaven for Frank Reich. I think he's coming into a team that kind of needs an identity right now. And I think with his offensive mind and the scheming and the weapons that he's starting to see or developing in Carolina, I think he's got a good position. I think they're obviously missing a quarterback, right? That's their biggest concern. But I think Reich's now in a position where he's got that's going to give him the ability to go out and draft a quarterback, get the guy that he wants, and then groom him to really be a superstar. I think this is a good position for Reich. It's home. He was the first quarterback in Carolina Panthers franchise history some number of years ago. And yeah, I really like this hire.
I'm completely indifferent. I'm in a situation where Carolina has been a team that I've shown interest in for the past couple years. Maybe they can really take that next step forward, and they've done that, I guess. But it's just because the rest of their division is awful. I don't see Frank Reich as someone that's truly going to like change or develop the direction of the offense, especially with the putrid situation that he's done with Indianapolis over the past couple years, even getting fired this past year. Um, I'm very much indifferent. I think that this could be a couple year thing while the team's still kind of developing. Having a veteran voice is always nice. Um, but yeah, I don't buy too much into the Frank Reich stock.
Oh, okay. Some differing opinions here. As we'll jump now to first time head coach, D'Amico Ryans hired from he was the San Francisco 49ers defensive coordinator, hired to the Houston Texans to take their head coaching role, and he also a former player for the Houston Texans. He signed a 6-year deal. I like this. I like this hire a lot. I think this team is kind of directionless, and they've had 5 head coaches in the past 4 years. Hoping D'Amico Ryans can be a guy that'll is there kind of for the long haul, or at least there for past one season. Um, I also think he's a great player coach. I think the players will be able to get along with him well. A lot of it due to how young he is. He's 38 years old, and he played the game just recently, about 8 years ago, well, maybe less than. What do you guys think about this hire?
I think this could be interesting. Hopefully, he gets more than 1 year. They gave him a 6-year deal. But I think Houston, like you mentioned, kind of directionless right now. They've obviously got some very high up picks in the draft coming this year, kind of in a quarterback limbo. Even though that I think the way that newer head coaches have succeeded, coming from an offensive background in the recent years, I don't think that's going to limit D'Amico Ryans. I think that whatever step he's able to take in Houston, even being a little small, any positive stuff would be huge for this team, who's really suffered in some of the worst ways over the past 2 to 3 years. So I think it's a good hire. He's obviously worked under a good management, good head coach in San Francisco. So I think that's going to be to his benefit. and also working with another young head coach. I think that's going to benefit him being a young head coach. Hopefully, get some like veterans around him in that coaching staff just to support him in the proper way. But yeah, I think this is an interesting hire. I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. I think that given some good moves in the draft and good support from the front office, I think this could be a really successful move.
Lastly, we're gonna let Brett speak on this one. That's his team.
Do I get my 2 cents on D'Amico Ryans?
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
In a nutshell, I think it's a great hire. I think he's definitely going to be a player coach and someone that people are going to be able to follow and like and kind of have a positive persona with in the locker room. I honestly think this hire is honestly going to give the Texans a little more direction than people think. Obviously, Davis Mills' quarterback situation is no good. Not really an offensive identity, no defensive identity. I think Houston, now that they have their head coach and their guy long term, going to go out and spend some money. We'll talk about that in some later episodes, but I wouldn't be shocked if now that D'Amico Ryans is there, they go out and spend some money on a veteran quarterback and try to get some pieces around him to start something in Houston. So I don't know. We'll see.
All right, Brett. This was a moment you've been waiting for here. The Denver Broncos hired their new head coach, trading for Sean Payton. They traded their first round pick this year, which was the 49ers pick, if I'm not mistaken.
It was the 49ers pick, then the Dolphins pick, and then the Dolphins gave that pick to Denver. And now it's New Orleans. So it has been through
Right.
4 different teams in the last 2 years.
And that's pick 29.
30.
Pick 30. Okay.
I think it's 30.
It's one of the two. It doesn't matter. It's a late first. They also gave up a second next year and took on Sean Payton and a third
this year.
Okay, Brett, go ahead. Share all your excitement.
I think this is a pretty decent hire by Denver. There were multiple reports that Payton actually wasn't the first choice. I think he was actually the third choice for Denver. They originally wanted Harbaugh. That was the big one that they wanted. The Penner ownership group went out to Ann Arbor, tried to get a deal done with Harbaugh, couldn't get it done. Then they tried to go after D'Amico Ryans. Ryans really wanted to go to Houston. They didn't get that deal done. So at the same time, George Payton and the ownership group were working a deal out with New Orleans to find that compensation out and work an agreement, and they got it done. So I think at the end of the day, this is going to work out beneficially for Denver. If you look at Sean Payton's track record of total offensive production in his illustrious, I think it was 16 years in New Orleans, he was top 3 in red zone conversions, top 3 in total yards per carry, top 3 in passing yards. It was a lot of successful stat lines for Sean Payton. And if there's anybody that Denver wants to resurrect Russell Wilson, this is the guy. I think he's going to bring a veteran presence and sort of take control of that locker room pretty quickly. The only question for me now is you've got to hire a strong defensive coordinator. You've got to be critical about it. There are definitely a lot of options out there, possibly retaining Ejiro Evero from the Hackett staff. There's already been interest that he could come back. But, yeah, I think this is a strong hire, and I think you're going to see a much different team in Denver next year.
If they can keep Evero around, that would be beautiful.
If they can keep Evero around as defensive coordinator and hire Jerry Rosberg, who is the interim head coach for special teams, I think that's shaping up to be a very, very strong coaching staff in Denver.
Agreed. Ben?
One thing I want to add is I don't buy any of the reports that Harbaugh and D'Amico Ryans were considered favorites over Sean Payton. I think that's absolute BS. As someone that's followed Sean Payton on Fox and just his appearance, not going to love this, but his appearances on The Herd and just him talking with just other stuff with Colin Cowherd and other guys, it seems very clear that Sean Payton did have interest in Denver, and they had mutual interest regardless. And I think them stoking the fires with saying that Harbaugh was back in the mix just like a day or two before Payton got the move done to Denver kind of lines up. It seems like D'Amico Ryans was always leaning towards Houston. It doesn't seem like there was any lenience there. I'm going to buy the leniency of what Fox was saying there and put my faith in Colin Coward. Oh my God. With Sean Payton himself, I think this is a good move for Denver. I think this is something that they had to at least try. This was the big move that you could make. Obviously, costing another first round pick is not a great look. You've given up a lot of first round picks over the past 2 years for Russ and now for Sean Payton. So you got to see how this proves himself. And I do think Sean Payton's going to put Russ in a good position to succeed. It's just, does Russ take advantage of that? And that's going to be completely on him, whether he's able to truly work out of the pocket, show off the deep ball skills on a more consistent level that he's done in previous years. Just look competent on a game-to-game basis. That's all we can ask for. Hopefully, Javonte Williams heals up quite nicely because I think he's going to have so much success in a Sean Payton led offense. But yeah, I think this is an interesting move. I still think they are probably dwellers in the basement along with the Raiders compared to Kansas City and the Chargers, considering the move that they made. The Chargers making a move for Kellen Moore as their new offensive coordinator. Moving on from Dallas is going to be huge, at least in my eyes. But I do think Denver's trying to at least still go for it with the Sean Payton move, and I can only respect that.
Yeah. Yeah. We still have two head coach vacancies, being the Arizona Cardinals and the Indianapolis Colts. I know the Colts brought in Jeff Saturday for his second interview a few days ago. We'll see what happens with that. But and then the Cardinals are interesting because they seem to be the most in on Sean Payton at one point. And Denver has him now, so who knows what direction they're going to go. I know they interviewed Brian Flores, and that's been talked about. I don't know how deep in conversations that has gotten recently, because this report is probably a week old, but see what happens with those. Hopefully we get those both by next week so we can talk about those.
I'd honestly be intrigued to see what Arizona does, just because I don't see them finding, unless there's someone that's kind of flying under the radar that ends up picking up steam. I don't see them finding their guy this offseason, especially with going into the season. This coach would not have Kyler Murray for most, if not the entire season.
Right.
So that would just be setting up that coach for a season of low expectations and just
kind
of developing the pieces around him, especially if they do trade DeAndre Hopkins.
And I feel like going into that position as a coach, you kind of have that in the back of your mind. Like, we don't have Kyler for probably more than half the season. Will I be the scapegoat? Probably. So will this be a one and done for me? We've seen it in Houston the past few years. People are even complaining Steve Wilkes earned his spot to keep that starting job. And even if we go last year, I think Rich Bisaccia should have been the head coach for the Raiders coming into the season. But it's changed now. So we will see. We will see what happens next week. Brett?
Just one last thing to add. Just kind of hinting to what Ben said too. I don't think Arizona is going to find their guy right away. I honestly think this is going to be an inside hire just for a 1 year kind of thing. They have Vance Joseph right now as their defensive coordinator who has head coaching experience. I wouldn't be shocked at all if they go out and hire Vance for a year and see what they can do. And then once Kyler's fully healthy, really go out and get their head coach. I think this is just in back of better terms, crappy year for Arizona.
Right. Maybe promote um Vance Joseph. I was blanking on his name. Vance Joseph for a year. Next year, you might see if Jeff Saturday's around. You could hire him.
Could only be so lucky.
But
Oh,
so I believe that covers all the news and the games. Now we have a special little segment, and I emphasis on the little. Um, we had some mishaps, we'll say. We had some mishaps, some disappointments, but we're gonna keep it moving. I set up this past week a game of NFL Jeopardy for you guys. So which is going to be fun. Let me just get this all set up here, and then I will share my screen.
for
Wow,
those
I'm
of you
so
who are
excited.
three and out journeymen and have joined us through the last 2 seasons, you remember last year we did something similar to this with Alex Green and having some fun in season 1. So we're gonna do it again.
Yes, we are going to do it again, and the budget was a bit short this year, so we are doing the same exact game that we did last year. Unfortunately, um, that's obviously jokes. Brett, he was very upset by that. So here, let me go ahead and share my screen with you, lovely gentlemen, as we will get going. I won't be able to see you guys, but just let me see if we're good.
Hell
We
yeah.
can see it.
Am I sharing? Let me just. All right, perfect. Okay, here is that little sticker in the way. Yeah, it is. Let me just move this.
Get it out of here. Get this man
Oh,
out of
you
my sight.
stink.
All right, perfect.
Okay.
So, this is NFL Jeopardy. I will read off the. I also decided to give Brett the first choice before we jump into it. It is his birthday on Monday, so we'll let the birthday boy pick first. Before we jump in, I will give you guys a little intro into what all these categories are right here. So if I open my notes, so the 2022-23 season recap is obviously stats and records from this past season. Roll out the red carpet. You have to guess which player won the given award. I'll give you a year, an award, and the team they played for, and you give me that player. Been around the world is basically a career timeline. You get the college and the teams said player has played for. Obviously, you guess that player. Alma mater Lions. I give you 3 players that all went to the same school. You have to tell me what school that is. In old faces, new places. You're given a player that has been with one team for a majority of his career, recently switched teams, kind of unsuspectingly, or went under the radar. And you guys have to guess which team he plays for. So, Brett, I think how we're going to do this is I'll do like, what do you guys want? 10, 15-second timer?
Sure. How are we going to buzz in?
Well, I'm just gonna let Brett go first, and then you just keep going until you get one wrong. And then you that's how we go, right?
So, like, Jeopardy is like you pick a category and then someone buzzes in.
All right. Well, we didn't think this through, huh?
That's how Jeopardy works, Michael.
Yeah, I know. I should watch more Aaron Rodgers, huh?
Wow.
So I
Watch
guess
more Lady from Big Bang Theory.
you know what? We'll just do just scream something out. Scream out your name or something. They're both simple. All right. So
Okay.
sorry, Brett, you will not be going first. You lose points if you buzz in and guess it incorrectly, but you do not lose points on a steal. We'll keep that going.
Well,
All right.
he can pick the first category. Just
Okay, Brett, if you want to start it off, you can go ahead and pick the first category.
Let's go to been around the world for 500.
Okay, been around the world for 500. Now you can buzz in after I am done with the question. You guys ready?
sure.
All right. College, Notre Dame 2013 to 2015. Got drafted to the Dallas Cowboys 2016 to 2021. Green Bay Packers for a year, and then has been with the New York Giants 2021 to present.
Brett. It is
Brett, go
Jalen
ahead.
Smith.
Let's check it out here. Brett, you are correct. It is Jalen Smith. You are on the board. Brett, go ahead.
Let's go with Alma Mater Alliance for 500.
Okay, getting the big Johnnies off the board
Christ.
quick. Hunter Henry, Dre Greenlaw, Cameron Curl.
Oof.
10 seconds left for you.
What happens if neither of us buzz in? Is it just
Yeah, then it just dies. All right. Time
Nothing
is up.
happens.
All right. We will reveal the question, the answer. What is Arkansas?
Okay.
What is Arkansas?
what is
All right.
Arkansas? That's a great question.
Okay, Brett. All right, Ben. Go ahead and pick a category.
Doesn't it just stay with Brett?
Brett, go ahead and pick a category.
Let's go with old faces, new places for 400.
Oh wow.
right.
They're cheaping it up a little bit.
Old faces, new places for 400. Akeem Hicks.
Oh, Brett.
Brett, go
He is
ahead.
now with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, formerly with the Bears.
All right, Brett, on the board with 900 to start. Go ahead and pick your next category.
2022-2023 season recap for 400.
Okay. I scored the most total touchdowns in a game this season with 5.
Me?
Is that Ben?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, go ahead.
I just had to do that right away. Who scored 5 touchdowns this year?
You have 10 seconds.
Scored 5 touchdowns in a game. Is it Austin Eckler?
Brett, I know this.
Brett, go ahead.
What is Joe Mixon?
Oh shit.
It is Joe Mixon week 9. So Ben, for your incorrect answer, you will get negative 400. And Brett will pick up the points on that one. So Brett off to a great start here. Brett, go ahead, choose your next category.
Let's go with old faces, new places for 500.
All right, old faces, new places for 500. Chase Edmonds.
Me.
Ben.
So he played for both the Dolphins and the Broncos this year. He's formerly with the Cardinals.
All right, we'll give it to it is most recent team, Denver Broncos. So you get that 500, and you were back in the positive.
Give me roll out the red carpet for 500, please.
All right, roll out the red carpet for 500. 2014 Offensive Player of the Year. Played for the Dallas Cowboys.
Me.
Brett, go ahead.
What? I was clearly before him.
Okay.
Oh,
answered. What are you doing, dog?
Wait, I got thrown off. All right, DeMarco Murray. Nobody picks up the points on that.
Oh my
Mike.
All right, hold on. I meant to press escape, but I actually pressed the space bar and revealed the answer.
It's a good thing I didn't get a chance to answer that.
All right. Apologies to you, Ben. We will throw a ghost 500 on you, or a negative 500 on Brett, I should say. Benny, for your troubles, go ahead and pick the next category.
Mike.
Between me ringing in first and then that, give me roll out the red carpet for 400, please.
All right, we'll try not to mess this one up. Roll out the red carpet for 400. 2015 Defensive Rookie of the Year for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Me?
Ben, 15 seconds.
Is this Chris Jones?
Brett, would you like a steal?
Oh my God, it's on the tip of my tongue.
You have 5 seconds, Brett.
Who is Frank Clark?
All right. The answer is Marcus Peters.
Oh, I forgot he was on the Chiefs.
Ben is minus 300 now. Brett, next category.
It's still me.
Ben,
No one
next
got it.
category.
We'll do been around the world for 400.
We see someone's a very avid Jeopardy fan here.
Well, I'm not a dummy. No one got it, so it just stays with the person.
Maybe I was the wrong host here. What was that category you picked? I'm sorry.
Been
Ben.
around the world for 400, please.
All right, been around the world for 400. Went to college at South Florida for a year. Got drafted to the Giants, played there for 8 years, then went to the Bucks for 3, and is currently with the Baltimore Ravens.
Me?
That sounded like Brett. 15 seconds.
Who is Jason Pierre-Paul?
You are correct. That is Jason Pierre-Paul. You go up to 1,700 here. Brett, go ahead.
Let's go with Alma Mater Alliance for 400.
All right, Alma Mater Alliance for 400. Brock Purdy, Brees Hall, Alan Lazard.
Me.
Brett.
Who is Iowa State?
You are correct in Iowa State. I got thrown off by the me. That's why I said Ben. Apologies. All right, Brett.
2022-2023 season recap for 500.
All right. I led the league in total points with 143.
Now, is this skill position player, like, does that include quarterback?
This includes all players available.
Ben.
Okay.
Ben, go ahead.
So it's I'm going to say, I don't feel great about this, but I think I'm going to say Brett Maher.
It is not Brett Maher.
Yeah, it's okay.
Brett, would you like a steal?
Who is Robbie Gould?
The answer is Jason Myers, Seattle
Jason
Seahawks
Myers.
kicker.
I knew it was an NFC West person. I remember Gould was winning it for a little while.
Who has this one?
It's Brett.
I think
That
it's
was
Brett.
me.
Yeah, Brett. Brett, go ahead.
Let's go with Old Faces, New Places, 300.
All right, you knocked all the big ones off the board. Shout out DeMarco Murray down there. Old faces, new places for 300. Miles Jack.
Brett.
Oh,
He is now with the Pittsburgh Steelers, but he played with the Jaguars.
All right. You picked that one up. Brett again.
All right, let's go with Alma Mater Alliance for 300.
All righty. Damian Pierce, Kadarius Toney, and CJ Gardner-Johnson.
Brett.
Brett.
What is Florida?
What is Florida is correct. Brett again.
Been around the world, 300.
All right, this is the daily double. All right, bro. Went to college at LSU, got drafted to the Arizona Cardinals, spent a year in Houston, then signed a deal with Kansas City, and is now with the New Orleans Saints.
Brett.
Brett.
Who is the Honey Badger? Tyrann Mathieu.
You are correct. It is the Tyrann Mathieu, or it is the
What
Honey
is
Badger
going
Tyrann Mathieu.
on? Ben, I feel so bad.
thanks a lot, dickbag.
All right, let's go with 2022-2023 season recap, 300.
All right. Recap for 300. I managed to have the second most rushing yards as a rookie, 1,050, despite being the 12th running back taken in the draft.
Me.
Ben.
So not Walker, obviously, not Brees Hall, not Damian Pierce. Is this Isaiah Pacheco?
It is not Isaiah Pacheco.
Oh my God.
Brett, would you like a steal?
So it's not Pacheco, it's not Pierce, it's not Walker.
You have
It's
10
not
seconds.
Hall. I'm gonna go with who is Zavorian Knight.
Oh my God.
Right.
Can he lose all his points for that?
I don't know. I'm just throwing out
Is
a
it
name.
is it
It's a
actually
deal.
Damian
I don't
Pierce?
lose points. I don't lose points.
Who is
Well,
Tyler
Zonovan
Algier?
I don't know.
Tyler
Zonovan Knight is
Algier.
that his name.
That I did not know.
Is the answer to that question. We will give this one to Brett.
Roll out the red carpet, 300.
Roll out the red carpet for 300. 2016 Defensive Player of the Year for the Oakland Raiders.
Brett.
Brett,
Who is Khalil Mack?
that is correct. Brett picks up 300 to add to his avalanche at this point. Brett again.
All right. Let's go with Alma Mater Alliance, 100.
All right. Trevor Lawrence, DeAndre Hopkins, Dexter Lawrence.
Me,
Ben.
Clemson.
All right, Ben. Ben, you actually lose 100. The answer is, what is Clemson?
NA.
Ben.
Give me 2022, 2023 recap for 200.
All righty. I led the league in most total touchdowns with 18.
Me,
Ben.
Austin Eckler.
Austin Eckler is correct. Benny's climbing the ranks here. Benny, go ahead.
Same category for 100, please.
All right. 3 teams were tied for the most Pro Bowl selections by team. Name 2 of them.
Me.
Brett.
That sounded like Ben.
Give me the 49ers and the Eagles.
All righty. And you were incorrect. And I'm sorry, Brett, I couldn't give you a chance to steal that one because I actually forgot who was on there.
Very good.
Nice.
Ben.
Old faces, new places, 200.
All righty. Yannick Ngakoue. What team does he play
Brett.
for? Brett.
He is now with the Indianapolis Colts. He formerly played for the Vegas Raiders and Jacksonville Jaguars. He's also played for the Falcons. He's on the Falcons right now. He's on the Falcons now. Oh, maybe not. Okay.
That's wrong.
Colts. I got the Colts. It works.
Mm,
I'm thinking Dante Fowler. Fowler is on the Falcons. I'm an idiot.
It's like 5
Brett.
different teams.
Brett, Brett, your answer kind of threw me off a little bit. He was never with the Falcons. He was with the Ravens as well. Who you did not mention.
Ravens.
And I feel like I have to give you minus 200 on that one.
That's okay. That's okay.
Apologies.
Same category for 100.
All right, all faces, new places for 100. Robert Woods.
Me.
Brett.
Ben.
He's on the Tennessee Titans.
He is on the Tennessee Titans. All right. Ben.
Been around the world, 100.
Been around the world for 100. Went to college at Maryland. Got drafted to Minnesota and has been with Buffalo.
Me.
Brett.
Ben.
Stephon Diggs.
Who is Stephon Diggs is correct.
Same
Benny.
category for 200, please.
200. All right. I went to college at Alabama. Got drafted to the Oakland Raiders. Spent 3 years in Dallas and is now with the Cleveland Browns.
Brett.
Brett.
Amari Cooper.
You are correct in that, sir.
Alma Mater Alliance, 200.
All righty. Travis Kelce, Jason Kelce, and Sauce Gardner.
Brett.
Brett.
Cincinnati. University of Cincinnati.
Yes, you are correct, sir.
Roll out the red carpet, 200.
Roll out the red carpet for 200. 2014 Offensive Rookie of the Year for the New York Giants.
Me.
Ben.
Odell Beckham Jr.
You are correct, sir. And Benny, go ahead and take that 100. I say like you're controlling it. 2019 MVP for the Baltimore Ravens.
Me.
Ben.
Lamar Jackson.
All righty. Okay, so Ben.
Just keep it going, Mike.
So we have early
Taking it real classy here, Brett.
But
I'm so sorry. I just feel so bad.
But we do have Final Jeopardy. All right. So Ben, oh, something's happening here. Ben has plus 400 now.
Oh, wow.
And Brett has 3,500. So if you guys would like to text me your wager, I guess, if that works. The topic of the question is total quarterback rating. I guess I'll have you text me your answers too. I'll give you a minute to think about those. Let me just wait for the wagers to come in. Brett's really putting some time into his. All right. So Benny's going to wager 398 and Brett is wagering 1,000. I will give you 60 seconds after I read the question.
Let's take a
no, you-
timeout. You're wagering 1,000.
Yeah.
That's crazy,
Go
bro.
to commercial.
Wager in this Muggsy. I'm winning
Go to
this Muggsy.
commercial. Oh my god.
Here, let me jump back in. That's nice right there. Okay. So we're back from commercial break.
Oh, go to commercial forever. Wagering 1,000. That's really entertaining.
Fine. Here's my new wager.
All right,
Your wager
Brett.
is 400.
All right. Ben puts in all his 400 and Brett is wagering 3,000.
You have 3,500. All right, whatever. Keep going.
All right. I'll give you 60 seconds after I read the question. So using total QBR, a football metric used to determine the total rating of a quarterback, taking into account passing, rushing, sacks, penalties, touchdowns, and turnovers.
Well, thank you, Wikipedia.
Brett, please. I'll knock off 2,000 right now if you score for that. Who was the most average quarterback in the league this season with at least 12 games played according to QBR? In other words, which quarterback ranked 14th in total QBR with at least 12 games played?
What the? So
You guys
basically, who was the most mediocre?
Yes, with 12 games played.
So who played 12 games?
So you guys will get a minute on the clock. All right, we got Brett's answer locked in.
Are you looking this up?
No, I'm writing them fucking down.
All right, Ben, if we can get your answer.
All right, give me a second.
We're looking this up.
I'm
Brett's scared to wager is 3,000.
Hey, man, I'm here to play. I'm here to win.
I'm here to win. Wagers 1,000.
Yeah, man. If I lose 1,000, I'm still up by big.
All righty. All right. So we have both answers in. Brett's answer for the most mediocre quarterback, according to QBR, is Kenny Pickett, Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback.
He's in the bottom 5. That's a wrong answer.
I don't know if you need me to tell you this at this point, but that is incorrect. So you were down to 500 points. Now it comes down to this. Ben Pope, his answer is in. Wagering, you said you're wagering all 400, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, wagering all 400 of his points, his lovely hard-earned points, might I add. He has said Tom Brady for his answer. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but those are both incorrect. Brett wins by a score of 500 to 2 or 0.
It's 0 now.
I was thinking about your 398. The most mediocre quarterback, according to total QBR, was Marcus Mariota this season. All right. So thank you guys very much for playing the 2023. You guys do not.
Poor Ben's just so mad right now.
Congratulations to Brett winning with a score of 500-0. You have won this edition of Jeopardy. And I think you guys don't need me to tell you this, but we'll leave the game creations up to those two minds now, and I'll just play them. So thank you guys so much for playing this edition of Jeopardy. Brett, how do you feel winning this one?
I feel good. I came into this thinking I was gonna be demolished, but barely snuck out the win.
Ben, your thoughts? Thank you, Ben. All right, thank you guys. Oh, this is too good, bro. All right. So with that being said, this wraps up 22, I believe, of the 3-0 podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. All the links of all our stuff and everything, follow us on everything, will be in the description. So go ahead and do that. I know Brett has his outro that he is memorized, but I don't have it memorized. Next week we will be doing our Super Bowl preview next week, and like I said, hopefully the 2 other coaching hires will come in by then. Ben, if you would like to take care and sign off for us.
No, I'm all set.
All right,
Take care. Big Ben sucks.
There it is.